What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review, coming out of Long Island, New York. With me, we got my man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
It's going well, Al, since you watched both episodes. Nice, of House of Dragons. Very nice. We got my brother, B.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Oh, now you're all soft and nice on the microphone. Real nice, Brandon.
I'm getting complaints.
No. The only person who got a complaint was Al. We couldn't get a full review because Al didn't watch it.
Well, now I did.
So Al's all caught up with House of Dragons. So House of the Dragons. I always leave the off of there. Yeah. Last time I was like House of Dragons. I'm like, what kung fu movie was that? Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We are going to talk about House of the Dragons, episode 2 of season 1, and we're going to also talk about SheHulk episode 2 as well. We're going to get into a full review. Again, we apologize to everyone out here who comes to us for movies, but there really hasn't been a lot of movies. However, Brandon and I did get a chance to see The Beast. Or is it just Beast?
It's just Beast. Now you're adding the things that don't have the.
Taking them out when they're there, adding them when they're not.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the SheHulk. So, I mean, really quickly, Brandon, because we are a movie podcast, before we get into the House of the Dragons and SheHulk episodes 2 for both shows, really quickly, what was your thoughts on Beast, man? Did you enjoy watching that movie with me or what?
I will say this. I enjoyed the parts of the movie that had the Beast in it. And the parts that did not, I did not enjoy.
and like I always tell people, I support my peoples. Man, I love seeing Idris Elba acting. He's a fantastic actor. I just gotta say, this movie wasn't his best movie in the world. But yeah, he was definitely fighting a CGI lion. But
he was.
There was a couple times where I was like, what is my man doing? But I gotta say, it was somewhat entertaining. It was a little bit of a kind of like a movie where it's like, okay, we're just watching this situation happen, and it gets interesting, but it gets a little unrealistic at points too. But again, would I say you need to watch this? No. Should you watch this? No. But I would rent it.
Should you watch this? No.
Nah. I wouldn't say there's a reason like you need to go to the theaters to go see Idris, you know what I mean? But I would definitely rent it, watch it with the fam or a date night really quick. Again, it's interesting. There's the villain of the movie is not just the tiger or the lion. His daughter played a villain. She was terrible.
His daughter was Loki in the whole movie. This movie tried to convince me that Idris Elba is a bad dad.
And I kept thinking she's just a bad daughter.
She's the worst. The worst. Every problem in this movie would have been solved if she wasn't there.
But again, overall, I would say you guys, I think you could rent the movie and you wouldn't feel too bad about it. A little red box, $1.25, or you get a coupon. Or just wait for it to come out on like streaming, which like any week now. So
it's tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, man, Idris, you got to do better than that, brother. You deserve better than that, brother. But I love going to the movies either way, though, man. Anytime I get a chance to go to the movies, I'm gonna take it. So let's listen. Let's get right into the House of the Dragons episode 2, man. This episode was so Game of Thrones, and it's funny because I was describing it to a coworker, and I was saying, you know how I know Game of Thrones is good? When there's not a single bit of action, and I was just like, I loved it. When it was straight talking the entire damn show, and I was like, yeah, that was great. Usually I need like a car crash, a chase, or a death scene. Man, that show is just crazy. So let's get right into the House of the Dragons there. Al, I want to hear your thoughts. Now that you watched episode 1, you watched episode 2, what's your thoughts now going into this House of the Dragons?
It's pretty crazy. Like I was saying off the air, like, it's good in the sense that, it sucks you right in. Like, without having watched the majority of Game of Thrones, I didn't feel lost because of the fact that, like you guys were saying last week, this is set, like
172?
172 years, right?
Yeah.
Ahead of when the events of Game of Thrones take place. So
right.
like there's no overlap of characters. You're not getting a
No.
reference to something somebody else did because none of them are even born yet. So it was good in the sense that I didn't feel lost, but I did feel a lot of moments where, like, you could tell they were referencing something that if you were into Game of Thrones, you would have known what it was. Like, just from the
Yeah.
little I did see, like the ending of last episode where he's like, where he's talking to his daughter and he's telling her like of the prophecy of the winter and coming from the north and all that. I was like, all right, I already know what that's
Yeah.
alluding to because
Hint, hint.
yeah, because everything was winter is coming, winter is coming. So I was like, all right, that's definitely a reference to Game of Thrones. And then like there were scenes where like I have to imagine just knowing that in Game of Thrones the dragons aren't a big thing yet. Um, but seeing what was it, Dragonstone or so whatever
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
uncle took over, I'm like, all right, that had to have been like a big reveal in the show, especially with the respect that they showed it with giving that, big view of the bridge or whatever they were crossing over. And
Right.
I'm like, I'm taking it in as someone who knows nothing about it, but I can only imagine what this must have been like for someone who watched the show for 8 seasons and seeing
Mhm.
this location with dragons just flying like nothing and everything. And so, but it was good. And in the politics that seemed to be going down
Absolutely.
and the favors and and it's funny because this is supposedly so long ago, but you can tell that this is the same stuff that happens in closed doors now, and I guarantee it. Oh,
Right. The scheming.
if you team up with this person, because they are who they are and you are who you are. eh, what like like it just showed that nothing, as much as we've come along technology wise, like we're still the same when it comes down to certain aspects of the way we interact with each other.
Yeah.
Because, just that aspect of how politics and political things were, like, I'm sure we're doing spoilers. The guy was offering up his 12-year-old daughter, and I'm like, what? And like nobody was
Yeah.
even batting an eye because all they cared about was the merging of two houses.
How
They
Mhm.
didn't
crazy
care
was
that they
that?
had like a 40-year-old man with a 12-year-old girl, and her only concern was, I don't have to go to bed with you for 2 more years. What?
Even the fact 14. Ah,
Yeah, that's what
ah.
I was like, all right, I'm just gonna push through the scene because it's disgusting, but
Yeah.
this was a different time. Let me just put that in my head to make the scene tolerable because I couldn't imagine that I was watching a scene where this grown man was considering marrying a 12-year-old.
Yeah, it gets kind of crazy like that, especially the
Yeah.
first series. When you hear certain things, you see certain things, it's kind of crazy. But I think they do it more for like a shock factor kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
B, how about for yourself, man? I mean, I know you watched the first episode, so you're seeing the second episode. Just to kind of like start off the episode and stuff. I mean, what was your thoughts on hearing the music again?
You know, I was interested because when the new intro came out, I was like, all right, what are we going with? I was like, I see all the blood. I see how this is traveling through the kingdom. We're
Uh
not talking
huh.
about houses anymore. While the show kind of builds the foundations of the houses we do and don't know from the Game of Thrones series and where they went, some of
Right.
these houses. Um, it's interesting. I thought they were going to go the fire and blood route while showing some fire, and there was no fire, just blood. I'm like, okay. I said, so the intros dictate some of the show. So now my thinking is, how does this intro dictate what's happening in this show? Is this now a show about lineage, and
Hmm.
the gains we're going to go in political value, in terms of these families as we go along? Is this not very action based and more chessboard? So I'm interested to see how that intro set up the show and the music to go along with it. I was like, that's great.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man, I didn't expect to hear the intro for some reason. I should have expected it, right? But at the same time, I know it's a new show, it's a
Yeah.
new writer, it's not really part of the history. It's kind of like the history, quote unquote, with their added text of what happens in between. Um, I was so happy to hear it though, and again, I know for Brandon and for Sanjay, where they were watching it as it was coming out in real time, they waited 3 years to see this next new series. I waited 2 months and I lost my shit hearing the fucking intro. So I was like,
and it's not exactly the same either. It's like
no, really,
it's a little different. You know, it's got some different things added there, a couple different graces, and that's actually one of the things. The composer, his name is Ramin Djawadi, I believe he's Middle Eastern, and he knows how to take music and build character with it. So if this music has these subtle changes, that means that the characters we're going to be introduced to, while they may have similar themes to people in the past or I guess the future, there's some differences that might be building. So I'm interested in seeing how the music plays a part in the show too.
Yeah, gotcha, man. I mean, so let's get into the episode itself, man. I mean, again, I think a word to use is enthralling. It was just like something that I was like just completely just watching everything and taking everything in. Of course, they had their one scene that was a little bit like crazy. Besides, of course, the offering of the daughter, which is these people from the 3 cities outside of where they are. With the crab king,
the crab feeder, right? That's badass.
That was kind of crazy. I mean, you see all the crabs all over the place, but then you actually see them picking at people's skin, and dude, I'm like, okay, this is Game of Thrones. Yeah, it's getting gross out here. But I mean, again, we still don't really have a clue of who these people are, except for the fact that they're from these 3 cities that are combining, coming down towards. Is it Westeros where they are, Brandon?
Yeah, they're in King's Landing, Westeros.
They're King, so they're going to either they're going towards King's Landing or they're causing some havoc somewhere where pretty much there's going to have to be a response by the Targaryens at some point. Yeah. I mean, Al, we talked about it a little bit last week. Talk to me about like the politics that you're seeing behind the scenes there with Otto, the King's Hand, and also
Rhys Ifans.
He's killing it right now.
Well, yeah, with the Hand of the King, how he offered up his daughter after the queen passed, you know, with the premise of just go and give him comfort. But like even back then, you knew what he was setting up. Like he wanted his daughter, to be. He knew eventually there was going to need to be a new queen.
Mm-hmm.
So let me already get my daughter in front of him. Let me let her be an ear and put her in a position to be at least of consideration.
Yeah.
And, to do that. And then the politics of, I forget what's the sea serpent or whatever he's referred to, that's married to the king's sister or something.
Yeah, I know who you're talking, the guy with the blonde dreads.
Yeah. Like the fact that he owns, like he's in control of the majority of their navy.
Yeah, the battalion in the sea.
He was saying, listen, we need to address the situation because they keep going after the ships. If we lose that sea lane, it's going to severely impact the kingdom. In essence, they're testing you and we need to respond. What's our response?
Yeah.
And he keeps not having one. And the guy keeps telling him it's coming off as weakness,
Absolutely.
and he's not listening. He's not responding. He keeps hiding behind, well, my job as king is to avoid war. But sometimes to avoid a war, you do have to get into a fight or two. And that's what the guy is, I think, trying to tell him. Mm-hmm. To avoid this war, we are going to have to let them know we're not a pushover. We still have our strength. We will and can respond. And he's just not doing it. Even his daughter was like, yo, send some of the dragons over.
He looked at her like, ladies don't speak.
And I would have thought that was the simplest thing to do, just to even do a flyover, just like, yo, we're still here. We know what you're doing.
What is it? What's the phrase out? Speak softly, but carry a big stick, son.
Yeah, kid. So
dragons are a big stick, son.
Yeah. So it's just letting me know eventually someone is going to challenge him because he keeps exuding this appearance of weakness.
Yeah.
And it's going to set up the daughter taking over. Yeah. So, yeah. And then like you were saying, Game of Thrones had the beginning was all about the houses. So you saw all the houses and the kingdoms and so forth. And this one is all about the people and how they team and how they pair up in terms of the lineage. It's more like a family tree than it was anything else. So it's interesting to see how they're going based on who's pairing with who, what's their offspring, and the timeline and the time span in the show seems to be. I don't know how fast are they going to be going.
Well, I hear that they from first to second episode was about
like
6 months.
Yeah,
and then I think the next episode they're saying is going to be maybe a year or so. So let's see.
Yeah, so they're going fast. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and think about it also, B. There's a couple of things going on at play, right? We have this perceived weakness of the king for not pursuing any kind of like checking people, right? He's not checking his brother. He's not checking the crab king or the crab people, the crab eating people, right?
The crab feeder.
Crab feeder. People, crab.
He's not doing that. But then you also have this side thing where the king of the hand of the king is seeing that this guy is like rotting from the inside. Was his finger coming off? What?
Yeah.
And how did he take care of it? He put his hand in a bunch of maggots.
They put maggots on the back.
Yeah. Was that something from Game of Thrones? Like, did somebody get cut there as well? Like, is that something?
I don't remember seeing anything like that, but I've heard that's like an old medieval thought process was to put maggots to kill off the infection.
No, I'm talking about the fact that he got cut on the chair. Like, I was wondering, is that something that?
No. Just another sign of weakness.
It's a pointy chair. It is
made of swords.
It is 1,000 melted swords. So
yeah, B. So I mean, like, you got a bunch of stuff going on. You have Damon constantly punking his brother.
Oh my God!
In this episode, what he stole the egg that was supposed to be for his son.
Yep.
Yeah. Fucked up, man. Yeah.
He's constantly sunning him.
And you know what? I think like the interesting thing about Damon for me, and maybe this is a testament to Matt Smith. I don't know, but it's like Damon keeps punking the king because he's his brother, because he doesn't think he should be king,
Right.
but he doesn't want anyone else to be punking his brother, just him, right? So like he doesn't like anyone talking shit about his brother. Only I can talk shit about my brother, right? Because I deserve to be king, but you don't get to say that about him because he's your king. So it's interesting because even when he takes the egg and, when he goes to Dragonstone and Renera ends up coming to him, he's just like, fuck it. Like, here's the egg, but that's my brother. So
he said fuck it because he got caught. Because he said that his wife was pregnant, and he didn't have a wife.
No, he had no wife.
The girl wasn't pregnant. So
technically, the new person isn't his wife because he does have a wife, but he don't want to be with that. She won't it.
No, she won't it.
He's just trying to stake a claim for the throne in his own way by saying, "Oh no, should something happen to the king, I've just produced an heir." So when that arrives, if something happens and you need me to take over, I've got lineage I can make now.
Yeah.
So that was his play.
Yeah, I mean, and again, all very interesting on how it's handled and what they show us. And you can see the chess pieces moving. You see that his sister's husband is getting pissed that this guy is not making a decision to do something about the crab feeders. He's not making a decision to link the houses together. He's not being forceful. And then I think you got the hand playing his deal, which is you're rotting it from the inside. I'm going to give you my daughter so you can give us a son, and then I can be some person of power. It's you see it happening. I feel like this episode was all about chess pieces moving around the board, and you're starting to see, oh, okay, I see what's happening over here. Because you see Damon at the end of the show is teaming up with, I can't believe I forgot the guy's name, but I'm still getting used to all these characters. Yeah. But he's teaming up with his sisters, with the king's sister's husband, is teaming up together, and that's the force right there. I mean, that's the two armies you pretty much have for the Targaryens. If the two armies link up together, I'm sorry, man, the king is done. The king's done. You know, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in this next episode because I'm assuming they're gonna go after the crab feeders, or something's gonna go down. You can't have an episode like this where it's all talk, and then the next episode's all talk. So I feel like this third episode is gonna be action packed.
But now, are the crab feeders like this story's version of what were they? The Night Walkers
The
or
White
whatever?
Walkers?
White Walkers.
I don't
think
believe
so.
so.
I don't think
No.
so.
I think they're just a bunch of people that are causing a little bit of havoc down there, or
Or did
up
they become
there.
the White Walkers, or did they ever? See, this is where I should have watched Game of Thrones because then I'd know.
White Walkers is completely separate.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
man.
Okay.
Yeah. As I tell you, there's parts of it where you're right, where they're gonna hint at some of the stuff from the previous series, or the previous Game of Thrones. But this thing is its own separate thing. So I think you could go in there just kind of blindfolded and let's go, let's watch this.
All right.
Let's talk about that incredible scene though of the Hand of the King with his little army versus Daemon and the gold cloaks. I mean, I really thought it was about to go down, and it was just kind of intense. And then when Daemon's dragon came out, man,
Yeah.
I mean,
game over.
These dragons look good.
Yeah.
These dragons look crazy.
Yeah, because even the hand had to turn back to his. He said, "Yeah, sheathe those things.
Sheathe those. Put those bad boys back real quick."
Don't you see that shit? That's a dragon.
Yeah, buddy.
I love how individualized all the dragons have been. That's my favorite part. You know, because usually when we get these series, like all the dragons are essentially the same. Same face, same everything, just a little smaller, maybe a different color. But we've introduced to 2 dragons so far in the show. You have our golden dragon, and then we have Daemon's dragon, whose name I completely forget. But it's got a longer neck. Its howl and its cry is vastly different from the golden dragon. So I love how different and individualized these dragons are, because I'm hoping that given the time period, we're introduced to even more dragons, and I'm waiting for a big motherfucker to show up. So
well, is that the one they keep alluding to?
They keep alluding to the big king. There was the one big one that died.
The king that died, his name was Balerion.
Right. Valerian died, but then there's a second one, I think, which is the mother dragon, apparently. She's the dragon that went off, that they think they know where she is, but she's the big one. And whenever they hint at shit like this, we're going to see it. We're going to see it. Yeah, we're going to see it at some point. So hopefully that dragon comes out of nowhere. Another one of the big parts of this episode was seeing Brandon, what's the name of the girl that the king chose to be the next heir of the throne?
Allison. Oh, his daughter is Renera.
Renera, thank you. I was like, Allison, man, that sounded mad 2010.
Allison is the new queen to be.
Okay, gotcha. Well, Renera, we kind of see that she's realizing that even though her dad made her the next heir of the throne, she's not necessarily being given that opportunity to do that. She is stepping in to a world of men, where she's trying to put out there some ideas, some thoughts, of her opinion. And she's realizing dude, he's not serious. He really doesn't want me to be the freaking queen of this place. I feel like you could see it in her face where she's just like, you know what? I'm not stupid. I see that what you're all trying to do. And I love the conversation she had with the king's sister, which is the sister was telling her, men will never let you lead. You know what I mean? And I was just like, wow. And I feel like, again, this buildup of this character is going to lead to her doing something crazy, which is going to be either she's going to be the one who kills her dad, or she's going to do something, switch sides, or do something somewhere down the road, because she's witnessing all right, he's trying to remarry because he has to remarry to have a queen. But when he has a queen, what happens when he has a son? Then I just go back to the back burner again. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I love seeing that thought process in her head. And it's she knows what's up. And then when she did that thing with the dragon, where she came in to save Otto, because Otto and his team were done for.
Fucked up.
If Daemon had released his dragon, it's over. But I feel like she there's something about her that I absolutely just love. It's the confidence. It's the power behind the eyes. Like, she knows what she wants to do and she's trying to do it. Like, even the way she approached Damon in the middle of that freaking tower fight that was about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He even was like, you know what? Fine. Take the egg. I'm out of here. You know, I love it, man. But like, talk to me, B. What's your thoughts on Renera and her character and what she's developing into as we see it?
I mean, one of the things that I'm afraid for in this show is because I know the Fire and Blood book.
Don't you dare ruin it, Brandon.
And I don't want to ruin it, right? But the thing about the book is the book it moves as fast, if not faster, than these episodes are.
Oh wow.
And so there's going to be a lot of time covered in this show. There is a lot of time covered in the book. And so my only worry is, what does season 1 look like? What's the grand scheme of season 1? If they're alluding to having more than one season, which they're probably going to. It's Game of Thrones, and the show's doing, it's already doing well. So
season 2, greenlit already, son.
So yeah, so the span of this book covers a long time, and so in the next, you already saw the preview for the next episode shows off a baby, so we're moving very quickly, and not to spoil anything, and a fight. Not to spoil anything, but there are going to be some more people added to this show. And it's going to happen faster than you know it. And I'm wondering this conflict, because Renera, she's a centralized version of this story. She's a central character, but she's not the only one.
Gotcha.
And soon enough, there will be more. I just don't know how soon. And I don't. The problem here is we got Game of Thrones that built all of these characters over a long period of time. Renera, is going to have some time, but I'm worried that this person that I'm watching on the screen, that I'm excited to see what she does, is going to start to get outshined by all the other people that are coming.
I got you.
Because this is the show about the Targaryens. This isn't the show just about Rhaenyra.
I gotta tell you, I think that's one of the aspects that I'm kind of missing from Game of Thrones right now. And I don't know how much you know about this stuff yet, because you did watch you watched 2 seasons, I think, or you got into the 2nd season of Game of Thrones 1. Is the fact that it was so vast, how many characters there were in different villages and towns and kings, and it was King of the North, King of the South, the Dorne, the this and that, and it's like, I feel like this is just like, no, the Targaryens, so it's like, I kind of like that it's focused in on them, but there's a part of me that misses the grand, like, there's a bigger world. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because while we're dealing with King's Landing, we were always worried about Daenerys and what she's doing in the other countries. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, Al, talk to me, man. What's your thoughts about like Renera and what's going on with her as well?
What I like about her is she, because I guess for the longest time of her life, she wasn't projecting herself to be like an important part of the royalty. Like, she always knew, well, my father's focused on getting a son because that's going to be his heir.
Right.
Like, she started looking things from a non-political view, and that's how she's been interacting,
Right.
Like when she first got sent to pick the knight, I forgot what was the name of the title he was going to hold, but basically he was going to defend the father. And again, they were looking at the hand was, trying to recommend she pick someone based on a political appointment. Like,
Right.
oh, this person's father is, has all these connections or whatever. So if you put him in, it'll be good because of the family connection. Meanwhile, she looks at him and she goes, but none of them have battle experience. Don't you think the person protecting the king should have battle experience?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. So, the fact that she's going in from a, I'm not doing anything. And even with the scene on the bridge, she wasn't supposed to go. She had been ordered to stand back. So I'm interested to see how far she pushes I'm going to do some of this stuff my way. Like, how much of this is being fed from she really just thinks different, or how much of this is her thinking she's about, she's in line now to take over.
Yeah.
Because even when she did speak to the queen that never was, or whatever she was,
Oh, they always have some fucked up names. The
Yeah,
queen that
kid.
never was. Dude, that's a diss every time you
That's
say it.
fucked up. Yeah.
Dude, it is the queen that never was.
Yeah, because like
What do they
when-
wait? what do they call freaking the Bronn? The
which one is he?
He's from Game of Thrones.
It's from Game of Thrones. Was it King that don't walk?
I forget.
Like what?
Oh my god.
I forget. It's Master of Coin. There's all the there's so many.
There was but I forgot what they called it, and it was something messed up, and it was just like, that's what you're gonna call him? Like, we're just gonna flat out say the Crip? Like,
Bran.
Bran. I'm sorry, man.
Oh shit, I forgot. What's Bran?
Listen, regardless, it was something fucked up. Because I was like,
Bran the Broken. The Broken.
Your new king. We're gonna call him the Broken because he can't walk.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Because he's confined to this wooden chair I built.
Oh Jesus.
The Broken kid. That's here you go, Al the blind. Because he's wearing glasses. This is crazy, dude.
Yeah, man.
Oh God. But I mean, listen, listen, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this third episode, someone's gonna get it. I don't know who, but maybe that's just my Game of Thrones hope that someone's gonna get it.
But I think that goes to your point. Like, that's one of my concerns with the fact that they're staying so focused on this family is, can they do that? Because like Game of Thrones, 2 seasons in, I was already wondering episode to episode who's getting it.
Right.
Like, like here you only have a handful, so you're gonna have to go. Maybe that's why they're rushing it so fast, like 6 months, a year.
Right.
Because they have to, like what Brandon was saying, they have to bring in so many people so quickly so that you can throw that guessing game in there as to who.
And there's
right
a
now,
lot of people in this book.
Yeah, because right now you can't be killing people off right now.
Yeah, there's not that many characters, right?
There's
I
like
know
5
6,
people.
and I can't look. I can only remember 3 names right now. So like, I'm not there yet. Where before I knew all the characters' name by the end of the seasons.
Yeah.
But I'm not there yet with these characters, so.
Yeah, but you really, like, if somebody spoke a little too out of pocket, you could say, yo, you better shut up.
Yep.
Now it's like, okay, you say what you want because there's nobody next to put it in your place.
Yeah, exactly, man. Kind of crazy, man. Yeah. I mean, listen, overall, I think that the episode, again, very just wordy, political, but very intriguing, very interesting. And I'm looking forward to episode 3. I think these guys have really done a great job with the writing, because if you could make this episode be as good as it was with just conversations and watching what the political plays are going to be, I mean, this is nuts. It's really working out. Brandon, as a fan of Game of Thrones, how you feel these guys are handling House of the Dragons right now?
I think they're doing a great job. Like I said, my only worried is the timeline. This book stretches a lot of time, and every episode we're moving forward in time. So I don't know how many seasons they're looking of doing for this show, but if we're moving at the same pace as the book, I'm hoping that there's a lot of time to develop these characters and for us to enjoy them.
All right, cool, man. Al, any last thoughts on House of the Dragons?
Just getting into the world and seeing where they can go with this.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Oh, and shout out to like the production team. Dealing with Game of Thrones season 1 and season 2 and having a couple $1 million to work with per episode, and now they're getting like $175 million, and they are making it work. Because my gosh, those scenes, especially in the Dragon Pit, are gorgeous. Oh my goodness. They're putting those Marvel movies to shame with their just production.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think they use that Mandalorian. You hear me? The Mandalorian. They're using that Mandalorian technology where these guys are like on a soundstage and it looks like they're outside in a freaking castle of Dragonstone. and they're freaking on a little a little treadmill, and they look like they're in freaking in these locations, which is absolutely crazy, man.
Yeah, they're doing a real good job.
Absolutely, man. So listen, great episode. And if you guys haven't had a chance to watch it, please, even if you heard us just tell you everything that happened in it, go check it out. It's still worth the watch. It's only 2 episodes in, so if you haven't caught up with House of the Dragons there, you need to just catch up, because there's going to be a 3rd episode on Sunday. So we'll definitely talk more about House of the Dragons after we see this next episode there. Let's get into now the other big show that's coming out. It's She-Hulk for Marvel MCU. They're doing their She-Hulk thing. We saw episode 1 last week. Episode 2 came out again on Wednesday midnight for you West Coast people, you lucky bastards. And Thursday morning for us over here, because none of us are staying up to 3 a.m. We have jobs, people. She-Hulk, man. I'm actually liking it. I didn't like this episode as much as I loved the first episode. I think it was a little fast. I think the first episode, I didn't realize how good they did it, because they made that 30 minutes feel like almost like a movie.
Yeah.
This episode, I felt the 30 minutes. I was just like, damn, that was short.
Yeah.
Because it was like 23 minutes, really.
Dude, it really was a little short of a thing, and they kind of introduced something, showed us a little something, and then they moved forward from there. But let's get into the spoilers there. Al, so talk to me, man. Talk to me about She-Hulk and your thoughts on episode 2. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it?
I like that so far they seem to be feeding right into one another. Like, we see right after the events of the trial, they introduced that the villain wasn't really a villain. She was a super powered
Are you talking about Titania?
Oh, thank God that's her name.
You thought it was Titania?
Yeah. I was like, yo, they're very crude with that name. But like that, she was a superpowered social influencer who was running from traffic court, and that was why she broke through the wall. Like, I was like, and it just showed that thankfully the show is going to stay with that lightheartedness. They're not taking themselves too serious. They're continuing the wall breaking. Like, as she was walking through the office, she's turning back and talking to us, saying, "Oh, I really hope this isn't why I'm here." And I like their subtle way they're touching on some of the issues that a lot of other people would probably say, "Oh, here they are. They're gonna, hit us over the head with this topic, or hit us over the head with that." And they're just like using the superpower so that everybody can understand what that would probably feel like. Because there's going to be things nobody could understand, because you're never going to be in those shoes. No matter how much you may want to understand, you're never going to be in those shoes. But what if you had superpowers? I think we can all kind of imagine that, because nobody has it. So what would it be like for someone with that? And it kind of puts you in the mindset of then trying to be in someone's shoes and understand how that makes them feel. And I like how they're touching on that, with the fact that she loses her job as an attorney because she's She-Hulk, and then she gets her job because she's She-Hulk, and has to be She-Hulk in order to have it. So and then you have that family dynamic the way they show it later. You have the idiot, and you have the callous uncle that says, "Ooh, employed and promoted, nice." So like that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, kid. For just 2 episodes, yeah, the themes that this first episode had, lightheartedness, and not shying away from certain topics, but not hitting us over the head with it. I like the way I like the trend that's been going with the episodes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because you have a bunch of like dumb idiots who keep saying, "Oh, it's a feminist show." It's not a feminist show. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Just put yourself in that mind frame of what if that was you and you were taken away from these opportunities, or these opportunities were given to you because of certain things. Just think about it for a second, and you're actually watching what somebody would go through and feel and think, and you're getting also a funny take with a superhero aspect. I think it's brilliant, honestly. Again, even though I didn't like this episode as much, I respected and saw what She-Hulk and Tatiana Maslany was acting and trying to portray in this. That it's not fair. You know, it really isn't fair for some situations and some people there. B, how about you, man? What'd you think of the whole episode there for She-Hulk?
I agree the same. Like there was lightheartedness. It was interesting episode for me. It didn't really catch me for everything up until when they had Emil Blonsky, in the cell. And as funny as that scene was, there was like a lot of realness to it. Where he was like, I did this job for my country. I was supposed to be the next Captain America, and I'm the one in the cell, and he became a superhero,
Dude, if you think about exactly what he said, I mean, we watched the movie, so we know what really happened. But if you think about what he said, he wasn't lying. He was working for our government to go get the Hulk because our government ordered it to happen.
Yep.
And in that, he got injected with the super serum, which made him go crazy, which made him act up, which made him try to get more powerful to capture the Hulk. He's innocent. Like,
he was just trying. He was technically trying to do his job.
There you go. Now, the one thing, Brandon, which I hate this, which is even though this show is doing a lot of fourth wall breaking, I know Blonsky wasn't doing fourth wall breaking, but this aspect kills me where the character is kind of like talking to, the character on the screen, and they might as well have had him look at the camera and go, "My 7 friends."
Yeah.
Because he repeated, how many times did he repeat his 7 friends? And I'm like, dude, just say it one time and we're good. I get you. We're talking about, the Thunder, what are they called again? Thunderbolts. I'm like, I get it. It's awesome. But dude, he's just like, I want to hang out with my 7 friends. Like,
how about this part when She-Hulk calls Bruce, right? And he's on the Sicarian ship. And, she's like, she's talking about the case. And he gets like, listen, he goes, I was a different person back then.
Yeah, and then he goes, literally.
Dude,
that was funny.
They have so much fun with themselves. It's
bruh. Why is the Hulk saying bruh?
But how much of that is Mark Ruffalo? Because I was hearing someone
1,000%.
Yeah, because he, like the line where he calls her fuzzball because of her hair, like he made that up. Like that's an ad lib. I was like, and I love that they leave that stuff in because it just makes it seem so much more genuine.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, so B, talk to me, man. What's your thoughts on those two big aspects? Because honestly, the show was actually just that, all that stuff that we just talked about, because it kind of stopped there, and now we're going to conclude like what happens with Blonsky in this case in the next episode, most likely. There was again a lead to Thunderbolts. There was a lead there to Hulk going back to Sakaar, which everyone's in the internet world is talking about World War Hulk going on, or maybe something's happening with Hulk. I don't know. But Brandon, what'd you think about those two little innuendos to outside movies or outside shows that may be happening down the road?
It's interesting because when, he was mentioning his 7 friends, I was like, okay, we're taking nods to Thunderbolts. So at what point did Contessa visit him? And put him in touch with everybody else, because now we also have the lead at the end of the episode that he escaped prison and he was videotaped in this fighting ring. So now we know that this show is happening alongside Shang-Chi, and now we have Wong was the one who portaled him out, So does Wong have connections to the Thunderbolts? Is Wong in on this with the Thunderbolts? And how does that allude to itself? And then the other thing is, we've all been waiting to see what's going on with the Hulk because he deserves something. Everybody else got something, and even though the Black Widow's something wasn't that best something, I think because the comics and what has happened in the comics in the last couple years. That's one of my favorite things about Marvel is that they've now taken a lot of their stories from the most recent comics. Like Miles Morales is only let's be honest, 10 years old. And now Miles Morales is the star of a movie, that came out 2 years ago. So at that point, he was only 7 years old as a character, So they're really
Gotcha.
taking into these newer Marvel comic storylines. And in the last decade, there have been a lot of Hulk storylines. One of them
Yeah.
being World War Hulk, involving a son and Sakaar, which is totally plausible. There's
Right.
so many Hulk storylines now that it's cool that if they're like, you know what, let's jump in. So I don't think there's going to be a movie, but I think we're going to get a Hulk TV show.
Gotcha, man. I mean, listen, there's rumors that this is the way that they write the Hulk off for a while. What's your take on it? Do you think we get like a movie, or is this like a way to say goodbye to Hulk and then he'll show up sometime maybe in Secret Wars?
No, I think there's too much of a reference to him going somewhere. Like,
Okay.
like if it was to write him off, to me, I think it would have been the accident, and then they take him, and then she just deals with the after the effects on her own. If you were going to write him off and leave him,
Right.
like to keep referencing him needing to go deal with something, and then to leave it that we don't ever know how he handles it, is too much of a would be too much of a missed opportunity to go into a Hulk movie. Like, because to what Brandon was saying, everybody has gotten their own movie, and yes, the Hulk already had a movie, but to that joke, that was another actor. So how do you not give Mark Ruffalo now a chance at a Hulk movie?
Right.
And I would think they'd look at this reaction just to these references to the possibility of a World War Hulk and say, well, damn, look at how much everybody's got ramped up just from a reference to it.
Right.
Let's try, maybe not do a full big, full major $100 million budget, but, maybe do something and get something out there and then leave it with like a cliffhanger. And then, maybe then depending on sales, go into another one with as big or bigger of a budget. But I wouldn't just not let it go there, because the Hulk is one of your more popular franchises. How has he not already gotten a movie? I'm not sure. I don't understand.
Yeah. I know the reason why is like that whole Universal contract thing where Universal has to be the people who distribute the movie if the Hulk is in the title or the main character of the movie. But people keep saying that contract may be done and over with, and maybe Disney bought the rights back from as far as distribution goes, because they have the Hulk. It's just not the distribution of the movie.
They have the money.
Yeah, they definitely they put out money, man. They get so much money back with all these movies. But one of the things that I do love about Marvel and the way that they handle these things is that they kind of always find a way to answer questions, right? And I feel like this next episode, more than likely, we're gonna get, because of how they ended the episode with us seeing that, Abomination was fighting in Shang-Chi there. They're probably gonna ask, oh my god, I can't think of his name right now. The wizard. They're gonna ask Wong, why the hell was he fighting in the in Madripoor? What the hell was that? Like, and again, even when we watched the movie, there was no explanation. It was just, here they are. They're there. Like, why were they there? Why is Wong working with Abomination? What's the connection there? And at the same time, like, I don't know. I think it's so interesting, and I'm looking forward to the third episode. Again, even though the last episode wasn't great, I am looking forward to seeing the next episode of like what's going on, what's happening. Plus, of course, all these theories of who we may see down the road in these episodes. I know Daredevil's one of these characters, so I don't think Daredevil's coming anytime soon. I think that's more towards the end of the series because it's a 9-episode series. But I'm interested in knowing, hey, what was Wong's part in this? What is he doing? Is he part of the Thunderbolts as well? Like, that's weird. Let's find out what's up.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it, man. And then again, I wanted to ask you too, because when Blonsky talks about the 7 friends of his that he's writing and talking to, he wants to hang out with. What are the 7 friends, if you had to guess there, man? I mean, I know I could think of course, the villain from Civil War with the purple mask.
Zemo?
Yeah,
What's he say, Brain? Zemo, yeah. So I know Zemo's one. I could definitely see Zemo as one. I can't picture the other characters that may be in it because I don't think Winter Soldier would really be a part of it. He's with Falcon now.
No, but
or Captain America, the new Captain America.
Well, he may have to be making amends.
But it was through the prison pen pal system. So who else is in prison?
Right, who's in prison? You know, I don't think Ghost is in prison, right? Ghost from the Ant-Man and the Wasp series. At the end of the
No.
movie, she was uh with with what's the
Lawrence
guy?
Fishburne.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne's
Gigantor. What was
character.
his name or something?
Giganto, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that, man. So I mean, like
Goliath, right?
Goliath, there it is. Yeah, that's the one. So I know she was with him at the end of the movie. Did they get captured? And then Ghost is in jail too. I can't, again, I can't picture the 7 people besides U.S. agents.
Hmm.
You know, Abomination is another person. Zemo. I don't know. Is there anybody you guys could think of that could be part of this 7-man team?
I don't
Based on
know.
how they're setting it up, no.
No, right?
Because I was thinking, Winter Soldier,
Right.
Zemo, U.S. Agent, what's the name? The new Black
Yelena.
Widow, Yelena. So
Right.
that's 4. I don't know who the other 3 would be.
Yeah. I still to this
Um,
day I would love to see Sam Rockwell back, dude. Doing his
Yeah,
dance. Oh,
yeah.
can't. Woo! Dude, he does the spin and he kills that scene in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I'm surprised you haven't touched on the other references in the episode.
Talk to me, man. Which one?
Well, because when what's the name is looking at the laptop, the 2
Oh,
articles on
Wolverine?
the side, yeah,
Dude.
and they finally addressed the big statue in the ocean.
Oh, well, finally, someone, dude. I've been saying that for the last 3 movies.
Yeah.
But you know what? Of course, I didn't see it while we were watching the episode. Everyone was talking about it on the internet, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, what? They didn't mention that. And I'm like, are they trying to say Wolverine exists right now? I think it's because, again, it was enough for people to find it and see it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, do we believe that they're trying to say that Wolverine exists in the MCU right now, Al?
That's the vibe I'm getting from a bunch of these mutant characters. Is they're going to try to say they've always been in this world. We just weren't telling their story. I think that's the angle that they're going to have. Like they were
I don't
always there.
like it.
There were stories about these people. We just weren't covering them. You know what I'm saying? Like this
Well,
wasn't
that's kind
part
of like the same way they're trying to introduce the Fantastic Four. If you heard about it, is that they've been around. Just something happens that either they haven't been around for a long time or they're back somehow.
Yeah.
We didn't know
or
because they're not doing an origin for them. They're saying that no, you know how it works, and we're just starting with the Fantastic Four. Like they're gonna be the Fantastic Four. So it's like it's gonna be something like that. Are they gonna be introduced in Ant-Man, or have they been in the quantum realm? You know, like have they been stuck there since the '60s? You know, like things like that.
Or they can do like little reference like articles on the side, like they just did with there, and say, and then point back to it and say, no, like Wolverine's been around. Look, we even had a story in SheHulk where they're talking about him
Right.
being in a bar fight. You know, which was what happened in the first X-Men movie. He was in a bar fight.
That's why I thought it was kind of crazy. I thought it was like a play on what happened in X-Men 1 because that's where he was, you know, we first saw Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is in the bar fighting people and stuff like that. But I'm saying to you guys honestly,
I don't like it, but that's what I think they're doing.
Same thing, Al. I don't like it, man. Tell me that they all came about because of Thanos' snap or the 2 snaps or the 3 snaps that he did. Fine. But don't tell me they've always been here and we just never knew. I mean, like all these, because there's way too many mutants. There's way too many people. And I just can't picture everyone just standing by the wayside where all this stuff is happening in the world. Like, that's kind of crazy. You know?
Yeah.
Well, remember, the X-Men at first, I'm going to say at first, this is before they got popular. The X-Men at first didn't fight the problems in New York. They didn't fight the problems around. They fought their problems in Latveria, in Magneto's island that he built, in the Savage Lands. So they fought in all these mystical places and even in space. So it wasn't so soon that they were fighting Sentinels in the United States until they were figured out. They did a lot of their missions covertly. So maybe.
Man, that I gotta tell you, that would be crazy interesting, man, for them to do all this stuff. But again, huge shout out to Marvel for finally acknowledging that there's a big statue in the middle of the Indian Ocean with a hand sticking out like this. Like, that's crazy that you haven't mentioned it in like 3 movies.
Yeah.
So,
And I wonder what the explanation was.
I think someone said it took 56 hours worth of Marvel to address the hand in the ocean.
Just nuts, man. I need to hear more. Like, dude, what are we doing with that? Are we gonna explore it? Like, we're just gonna let it be there? Oh man, but that's MCU's fault for making everything connected. That's their fault. I blame them to make me want to be like, well, what's the reason, guys? Like, it's just kind of crazy, man. But listen, man, that is going to be it for tonight again, because there wasn't really a lot of stuff that happened. I mean, even the end credit scene. It looks like She-Hulk's going to do an end credit scene in every episode, which is awesome. And this one, she was helping lift up a car, or what was it? Lift the television?
No, water bottles.
What? Yeah, man. So I mean, I'm interested again in seeing this episode tomorrow morning. I'm going to download it and maybe try to watch it at my lunch break, or just wait till the end of the night. Listen, I know next week again we're going to be seeing. Well, this week we got Lord of the Rings episode 1 and 2 coming out.
Yeah, tomorrow.
So I mean, I know I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna assume you two guys are gonna watch it on Amazon Prime there. So Lord of the Rings is coming out this week, guys. So make sure you check that out. House of the Dragons episode 3, She-Hulk episode 3, and you hear this? And I know that I think it's either, it's not this weekend, so we won't talk about it on the next podcast, but the following podcast. So I'm giving you many reasons to keep subscribing to us and watching us and listening to us and coming back to us. Is the next episode we're going to talk about Lord of the Rings, House of the Dragons, and She-Hulk. And then the podcast after that, we will be talking about all 3 of those things. And you hear this? And possibly D23 is 2 weeks from now. I believe it's next week. So we won't be able to know what's happening until next week. But next week, we'll know with D23 what's going on with Marvel, because apparently they're going to either let us know who the actors are that are going to be playing the Fantastic Four, maybe let us know who else's other characters are coming and what other shows are coming or what's happening in Phase 6. So let's see what happens with that, man. That's going to be amazing. But again, we are The Real Fan Review, coming out of Long Island, New York. We talk about movies, movie news, movie rumors, and apparently TV shows now. So... because they ain't shit to watch on the movie theaters. Yeah, man. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You could always find us at therealfanreview@gmail.com, where you can email us any kind of questions, or it's something you want us here to talk about. Email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. So again, saying good night, we got my brother B.
Adios, everybody.
We got our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
And myself, Hop, saying thank you, guys. Thank you for listening, for watching. Please hit the subscribe button on your YouTube app or your page, or hit that plus symbol on your podcast play apps there, where you could get us to come to you every week and every time that we put a podcast out. You'll see us on YouTube, or you hear us on your podcast playlist. We'll check you guys out on the next episode. Until next time.